Hi, this is Kat with The Power of You. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to share the next step on my journey that lit up for me after I got to the place of surrender and released all of the resistance that I had built up around my tapering experience to date, which had been several years at this point. And this was the next aspect that the universe brought to me, or the next idea that the universe brought to me. The first being the mind body connection, our thoughts, the stories that we're telling, the thoughts that we're thinking, and what we're focusing on does produce a physiological response in our body to a point where we can make ourselves quite unwell. So the next um, bit of information that was revealed to me on my journey was the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind, sub meaning below the level of awareness. So, from a conscious perspective, I was aware of my thoughts, the stories I was telling myself, the words I was using and speaking, all of these things. That was from a conscious level. But then I realized that there is a subconscious level below the level of awareness, and that the subconscious mind is very, very powerful. So I'm going to go into a few attributes of the subconscious mind right now. This is by no means going to be completely exhaustive. Hopefully, it's just enough to whet your appetite and give you just a little bit of enough information that if this resonates with you and you like anything that you're hearing about my experience and you're drawn to explore this for yourself, that hopefully it's enough information for you to decide for yourself whether or not this is a path that you want to go on or not. Okay, so the subconscious mind was brought into my conscious awareness. The subconscious mind is a giant recorder. It just records information and data. Okay? The subconscious mind comes online or becomes available to us. Some say at the moment of conception. Others say we're not sure when. When I say others, scientists talk about this who work in this field say it's definitely when we're in utero, but when in utero, I don't know that it's become very clear yet. So definitely while we're in utero, the purpose of the subconscious mind is to keep us alive. And part of keeping us alive is keeping us safe. And so while we are in utero, the subconscious mind is gathering information and data to prepare us for the environment that we are about to be born into, whether it's recognizing our parents' voice, um, getting an idea of our mother's routine, right? Lots of different things are being recorded and being stored for our preservation and our safety. So after we are born, up until around the age 7, our brain is what is called a theta state. So there's different brain level, brain wave activity levels. This might be new for some of you. Some of you might be familiar with this. I was not really that familiar with it, to be honest. So there are different levels of brain waves that we can be in at any given time. And theta is the state of being or the brain wave state that we are in from when we're born to about the age of 7. Theta is when we don't have any gatekeeper, in that we're just sponges and we're here and we're picking up and we are absorbing and we are storing and collecting and recording, storing and collecting this database of programs or information that will help us to survive in our environment. So the subconscious mind is super helpful in in recording and storing programs around how do we behave in our family of origin? How do we behave? How do we interact? How do we, conduct ourselves? What is considered acceptable behavior in our family when we go to school or whatever our education system is? Any type of organized or formal religion that we might have, whether we go to church or a synagogue or something else. It serves us in recording data by observing as a sponge what is acceptable in these environments, what is acceptable in the interactions with our parents, other family members, people within our religion, whether it's a pastor or a rabbi, or how do we interact with our neighbors? Do we call them Ms. Pat, or do we just call them Mrs., right? We're learning. There's so many things that we need to learn when we are growing up and to be able to survive and be what's considered an acceptable member of society and be well behaved or not, right? And that's the critical part. If we're in a family of origin, or we are in an environment where these things are structured, and we have both parents and maybe we have siblings, and maybe we're going to some type of place of worship or formal organized religion, and the schools that we might go to. That could be one person's experience. Another person's experience could be not having both parents. Maybe you don't have a lot of financial money available to you. Maybe you don't go to school. Maybe you do go to school, but you go to school in a very dangerous place. Maybe you have a parent or parents who have a problem with alcohol. Maybe they're physically abusive. Maybe they're abusive in another way, emotionally and mentally, physically. There's a lot of different ways that we can be abused. So we are recording all of this, right? We're recording all of it. And we're still recording after the age of 7. It's just that at that point, our filters come online and we're not in that theta brainwave state. And so we've got a gatekeeper, the conscious mind. Conscious is fully formed for the most part at that time. And at that point, we have more say. We can analyze things a little bit more and choose whether or not we want to let that in, to choose whether or not we want to maybe believe certain things or act a certain way or behave a certain way. We have a little more say about what we're letting in. We're not just big sponges anymore. Although our environment could continue to be the same. And so another way that the subconscious mind collects and stores data and information is if we've had a particularly emotional experience or a traumatic experience. That's a way for information to be stored, bam, right into the subconscious mind, because it's very meaningful and it's very impactful. And we certainly want to have a record of that, right? So in the subconscious mind doing its job, and it's storing all of this data like a big recorder, what it stores. So let me back up. You could have a brother and sister in a family, grow up together, and the two of you could have completely different, not data stored, but the way that that information is stored in your subconscious mind, the meaning that you're giving it from a conscious mind perspective, and the way that you perceived different traumas or experiences or dramatic situations could be very different from one sibling to another. And this is a good example of this would be if if a group of people witnessed a car accident, let's say, and the police officer went to each person and asked them for, to tell them what they saw, different people are going to give different accounts. And the reason for that is we all have different perceptions and different filters that we have gained and accumulated over our life experiences. And as we look through these filters, we're going to have different perceptions and different perspectives about our experiences. So that's the first thing. The other thing is because of these different experiences and perceptions, what might be something that's very traumatic for one person might not even phase another person. So an example of this I found was that if you were physically abused and you grew up with someone that drank, maybe was an alcoholic, and when they were drunk, they got very mean and very abusive. That is very, very traumatic, undoubtedly, right? Without question, I think we could all agree to that. But someone else who grows up in an environment where none of those things are going on might see something or have an experience that is extremely traumatic to them. And the person growing up in the environment where the alcoholism and the physical abuse and things are happening could have that same experience and it not even phase them, right? Because they have a different context that they're operating from. They have different recorded data in their subconscious mind. And so these are the types of things that go into creating our perceptions and our perspectives when we are having experiences in our life and in our world. Okay, so we've got this stored data, and because the brain wants to be efficient in its operations, because I believe it is the brain that uses the most calories, right? Burns the most calories. Because it wants to be efficient, the body always wants to be efficient in pretty much every capacity. It's going to start making these associations and grouping this stored recorded data into groups of information for easy access. And so when we have an experience that is, whether we think it's traumatic or not, the subconscious mind is going to automatically make an association. And it could be right, wrong, logical, illogical, as in it doesn't make any sense, but there's something stored, some file or data or record or information stored at the subconscious level that whatever experience that we're currently having, the subconscious mind is making an association to it. And if it perceives a threat or that your life is in danger, it's going to send off warning bells, right? It could be a migraine. It could be a stomach ache. It could be a panic attack. It could be diarrhea. It could even be, lethargy, right? Lethargy. It's going to do whatever it thinks it needs to do to get you out of that situation and get you to a place of safety and well-being as soon as possible. Whatever it needs to do, however it needs to manifest in your life or in your body, it's going to do that because Danger, Will Robinson, right? Warning. All right. So I found that during my tapering process, nothing triggered the subconscious mind programming like the tapering process. Okay, so whatever was stored in there, and you'll probably, if you might want to look at my Psyche video, but whatever was stored in there, and I didn't need to know, some of it I was very much aware of, but what do I do about it? Was getting activated, poked at, triggered, whatever. The programming was kicking in. And it was kicking in high gear when I was tapering. So that's the one aspect of the subconscious mind. The other aspect of the subconscious mind is we live from that subconscious mind programming. Scientists say anywhere from 96 to 99% of our life is lived from and comes from our subconscious programming. The subconscious mind controls the autonomic system. So it's digesting your food, it's blinking your eyes, right? It's keeping the system going, it's keeping you alive, right? So the conclusion that I came to when I received all of this information initially was, ooh, is it possible for me to program my subconscious mind to not feel the withdrawal effects or the tapering effects, right, in my body? Like, could I program my subconscious mind because it is that powerful, everything that I was reading about it and learning about it, and that it does control so many systems in the body. And I suspected, but did not know for sure, that my subconscious stuff, this stuff that was stored, that recorder, was really getting poked at and triggered. Like, what could I do? And so initially I thought about a hypnotist, because that was the only thing I knew that worked at the level of the subconscious mind. But in searching for a hypnotist, which I did find someone really good here in the state of Texas, although I think he had really limited availability, I liked what I saw. But then in further research, I came upon Psyche, which is the modality I use with myself, and I also use with others, with my clients. So that was the goal. The goal was tap into the power of the subconscious mind, utilize the power of the conscious mind, my thoughts, the stories I'm telling, what am I thinking, right? What words am I saying? To also prevent these physiological responses. And I knew that as I was coming off of this medication, that the reasons that I took the medication were going to start rearing their ugly head because I knew they weren't resolved, right? I knew there was a reason why I took the medication in the first place. And it didn't go away as far as I knew. Even after being in therapy for years and years, at least once a week, inpatient, outpatient, once a week talk therapy, it didn't go away as far as I knew. So if you're interested in finding out more about the mind-body connection and the power of the subconscious mind, I'm going to give you 4 books that I recommend. I am looking at setting up an Amazon store where I can have these in as an affiliate, where I will get, I don't know, maybe a little bit of commission if you buy through my link. I am looking at doing that. Feel free to use that link or just go in, get the information, and of course, buy it on your own, whatever you feel led to do. And as always, take what you like and leave the rest. This is not a prescription. This is only my experience that I'm sharing with you, whoever is interested. Okay, so the first book is How Your Mind Can Heal Your Body by David R. Hamilton, PhD. Okay, this is backwards. Sorry about that. And some of you might be familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza. We'll talk about Dr. Joe eventually at some point for sure. But he says this book will teach you that healing by thought alone is not only possible, but it is a reality. Okay. This is a classic. In fact, it says reward classics at the top. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Okay. Sorry, this is backwards, guys. All right. This is great. This is the very first book that I read. Really powerful. Doesn't just talk about healing afflictions in the body, but it also talks about other aspects, right? Relationships, money, wealth, finance, all of that. So great classic text. The Power is Within You. This is by Louise Hay. She started Hay House Publishing. If you're familiar with Hay House Publishing, a pioneer, certainly a modern pioneer of a lot of this work with the mind-body connection, the power of the subconscious mind. We are the power lies within us. Just a really beautiful person from what I know. Never met her before she, um, passed away, but has done some really great classic work. Your subconscious brain can change your life, overcoming obstacles, healing your body, and reach any goal with a revolutionary technique. So he does offer up a technique in this book. I did not use it. I haven't even tried it. I am a Psyche fan, as anybody who's been on this channel with me long enough knows. But really great content nonetheless. Really great information about your subconscious mind. And this was published by Hay House. All right. So those are the 4 books that I recommend. I hope to have an Amazon storefront set up. If not, you've got the titles. You can purchase them for yourself if you feel drawn to this and you want to explore this a little bit further. All right. As always, I welcome questions, comments down below. Again, feel free to just to subscribe if this resonates with you, if you want to hear more about my experience. And I'll be talking a little bit more about the subconscious mind. I'm just kind of laying the groundwork here as in the beginning as we go along. So thanks so much for taking the time to be with me today. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye-bye.